Explaining how it feels to have dyslexia or other learning differences through art, part 11. I call this image meditation. So as a child I was very tense, very stressed all the time because I felt so much pressure from school. Being diagnosed with dyslexia made me realize that I have to change the way that I work and look at myself. So I went inwards, acknowledging myself, looking at all these aspects and all my reactions to the situation and see how I could improve myself within that situation. Therefore, giving myself more time to relax, unwind, be me, and not stressing about all this school stuff. And I quickly realized that I don't need to listen to what all these people say about me and want me to do all these different things. I need to acknowledge myself and realize what do I need from myself. Explaining how it feels to have a learning difference through art, part 12. Being tired and falling asleep. I'm sure many can relate to this situation. Are you aware that many individuals with learning differences work double or more the amount that other people do in order to be able to go through their day? And as you can imagine, this is tiresome. Isn't it strange that our society is so focused that everyone should have the same amount of energy? It's bad if you have too much, it's bad if you have too little apparently. As a result, there's many individuals who have a lot of stigma around being tired and falling asleep. So I'm here to tell you that it's okay that you're tired when you come home. It's okay that you take that nap. So you have the time to be with friends or do the homework or do the things that you love to do, because and it's necessary for you to feel good and not falling asleep in class or work. Explaining how it feels to be neurodiverse through art, part 13. So this image I call written in stone. And what it says here in Norwegian is, you can't remove me. This image is all about the feeling that many individuals, especially with dyslexia, feel when they are writing. Because many feel pressure that they can't write correct or it doesn't look good enough, and it may be difficult to erase it from the paper or even be told that it's unreadable. This is an issue that I had for a very long time, because I felt the pressure of writing on a paper. I always prefer to draw rather than write, because that's how I remember subjects better. But I was always told off by this, because that was not the proper way of doing it. So what I've done over the last few years, I have been writing on paper with drawings around it to just make it my own and feel comfortable. Explaining how it feels to be neurodiverse through art, part 14. I call this image not good enough. This is how many individuals with learning differences like dyslexia, ADHD and so on feels on a regular basis. I'm sure you have experienced being told that what you have done isn't good enough, even though you have worked really hard on it for maybe weeks, which doesn't feel very good because you know you worked really hard on it, which makes many focus on approval rather than learning. Then you have the opposite. And the reason why many girls are not diagnosed with dyslexia or other learning difference. Everyone thinks they are just really good at what they're doing because they're getting good grades. And the teacher is saying like, oh, but she's so good, she can't have dyslexia. Little did I know the reason for this is because they are constantly doing homework, constantly overworking themselves, and are actually really stressed out. And it would be a huge benefit for them if they received support. Hi, do you have dyslexia or other learning differences? This is episode 15 of explaining how it feels through art. Today we are going fishing. I call this image fishing for words. Why do I call it that? Because when you are fishing, you don't always know what you will get. Which is exactly how many individuals with dyslexia may feel when they're trying to spell. Is there a double letter? Is it a dash? Is it punctuation, a comma? Who knows? And this can be very confusing and frustrating, because what is the rules you need to use? Am I writing it correctly? Who knows? And no, just because you don't know how many letters a word have doesn't make you stupid. And like always, some may not have a problem with this at all. Some learn how to deal with it later on, and someone probably never. So how often do you fish for words? Let me know. Hi, do you have dyscalculia or other learning differences? This is episode 16 of explaining how it feels through art. The name of this image is dyscalculial pain. If you don't know what dyscalculia is, I have a whole series talking about what it is. But to explain it simply, it's like dyslexia in math. So my aim with this image is to show the trauma that many people experience having a learning difference. And this trauma can actually become physical, which is very challenging. I used to find numbers to be extremely challenging. I usually explain it like this: I need to pay my bills, but I don't necessarily understand how or how much the numbers are until it hits me in the face, and now we are back around again. It's a continuous traumatic loop. So have you experienced that the trauma around your learning differences becomes physical? Hi, do you have ADHD or all the learning differences? This is episode 17 of explaining how it feels through art. Before we start, I just want to clarify. I personally do not have ADHD. I work with associations to create awareness of ADHD through art. I have friends and clients who have ADHD. It's a flea-powered machine. It's based on two things. One, in Norway we have this saying referring to someone who can't sit still, that they have fleas in their blood because the fleas jumping around, right? And two, interviewing people with ADHD, many of them say that it's like an engine that just goes on and it's difficult to turn off. So this image is based on that, and he has a flea machine on his back that makes him run really, really fast. Now it's important that we acknowledge that this is different for everyone, and there is no shame of having a lot of energy. You with ADHD, can you relate? Part 2 of my experiences with anxiety and episode 18 of explaining through art. So of course this picture's name is anxiety. And if you haven't seen part 1 of anxiety, I recommend that you do so. Normally when we have anxiety we don't really want to be in our body because it's painful. But I decided to sit down, face myself, and actually say, I'm never going to feel this again. I want to deal with this now. And it was a very bizarre experience. It was like I split my consciousness. One part of me observed the other part of me, and the other part of me had a full-blown anxiety attack. And it was very interesting. It felt like billions of little lightning strikes shooting through my body. It was very painful, and I felt like I'm gonna explode of all these feelings, all these emotions, all this stress. I'm so happy that I did, because now I recognize very early when I may get an anxiety, and I deal with it right there and then before it turns into this. Explaining how it feels to be neurodiverse through art, part 19. I call this image too smart for society. Many individuals with learning differences feel like they're not being seen and they feel stupid. And they believe this so much that they miss to see their own potential. They think because they're not doing well in school that their whole life will not work out. Did you know the majority of individuals in prison has a learning difference? But we also see many entrepreneurs, athletes, actors, artists also having a learning difference. Whatever it is, dyslexia, ADHD, autism, etc., etc. We are out of the box thinkers. And society doesn't want that, apparently. So stop listening to what society says and start listening to your heart. Embrace what you are good at and do that, and that is your future. It's time a challenge to you, and you have dyslexia, ADHD, dyscalculia or other learning differences. This is episode 20 of explaining how it feels through art. Of course this image is called time, because many individuals with learning differences find time to be very challenging to comprehend. Therefore many may be late or too early to certain meetings. This is not because they want to, but because, again, time is difficult. And this may frustrate not only them, but many other people as well. But know that they do not want to do this on purpose. I myself have always found time to be difficult to comprehend. And I have used tools like stopwatch and alarms in order to teach myself time. Be aware that many of these individuals may not comprehend when you refer to a certain time or speak in time terms. I always try to give myself one day a week where I focus on my time to relax